And I want to tell you, God's principles work. It's just, you know what, sometimes we don't apply them to our lives. And if we don't apply them, there's consequences. And that's what's happened with Josh. But yet, God is working in Josh's life. We talk to him about once a week. He's up at a kind of a place that helps. It's a Christian facility that helps people kind of get back on track. And so we're thankful for ministries like that. And so I appreciate your prayer for him. Report about Anna. Anna and the 4 grandkids are living with us right now, and they are doing very well. As a matter of fact, John said the other day, he said, Anna is a picture of Jesus Christ.
Hey friends, it is Monday, July 10th, 2023. Welcome back to my channel. It is Katie Joy. Hey, so there's been some weird stuff happening with the Duggars, and I spent a few minutes over the weekend in between relaxing and doing stuff with my family to take a look at some property records and dig through some transactions that show a couple things. One, Jim Bob has a son that is completely going against him at this point. 2, Jim Bob is desperate for cash because he unloaded a $1.8 million property last year. And 3, Jill Duggar sent an olive branch to her brother James, calling him her forever buddy. So we all know that the Duggars are in a series of unfortunate events. You have Shiny Happy People, Duggar Family Secrets coming out. You have Becoming Free Indeed released by Ginger. You have a book coming out by Jill. You've got Josh Duggar behind bars. You've got Anna Duggar allegedly kicked out. You have chaos going on in every direction. And Jim Bob, for the most part, has locked his children into contracts where they are heavily dependent upon him, completely financially and emotionally and mentally and economically dependent on their father, living on property that he owns. And all of them are doing this except for one. And the one that's doing this might shock you because it's not someone you might have thought would do this. It's Josiah Duggar. Yeah. I wasn't expecting this, you guys, and I'm very confused about how Josiah Duggar can afford a mortgage this size. So he has broken massive rules of his belief system, of the IBLP, and of his father, and he's defying his father by actually owning his own property, building his own home, and having a mortgage. If you know anything about the IBLP, having a mortgage is a kiss of death. Also, we're going to talk about this property that Jim Bob unloaded in Missouri last year, completely under the radar. Let's dive into today's topic. Before we do, can you please do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up? Also, please subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Make sure to click on the bell so you can get notified of any time I go live or new content loads. If you have a comment and you'd like to say something, make sure to say it in the comments below and share this video with your friends. I know there's lots and lots of questions about when I'm coming back on, and I don't know. I keep every week saying soon, 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 and I don't know. There's no timeline. I've been applying all kinds of ointments and I'm doing everything I can to heal, and it's just taking a while. So please bear with me. I will be back soon. I did not get plastic surgery, I promise. If it was something fun like that, I swear I would tell you. Okay, so most people in the world know that when you grow up, you've got a few responsibilities. You have to have a job, you need to pay your bills, and if you want to become a homeowner, most people in this United States and in the Western world end up getting mortgages because otherwise we would never be able to afford to buy a house. Houses are expensive And without a loan, it would be damn near impossible for most Americans to ever to be able to purchase a home. Well, for whatever reason, the IBLP has taught their people that you can't take out loans because it's like getting in bed with Satan, because you are going to basically tie yourself to a bank that's of this world, and debt is the worst thing that can happen to you, and you're financially tied to something, and you want to make sure to live debt free. And living debt free is what the Duggars have been trying to do for years. Well, Josiah Duggar and his wife Lauren recently welcomed their third child, a baby boy, and recently purchased lots from his dad, and he built a home. So he built on property around the corner from the Duggars on Barrington, and he built this house on his own. If you know anything about Josiah, he has a building company, so he can build, and he has a contractor's license. But what I think is interesting here is that he needed to take out a loan for this home. Generally, this isn't how the Duggars work, and it tells me, one, that the Duggars don't have the liquid assets that they once did. Prior to this, I could have seen Jim Bob floating the cash to his sons or something like that. But either he's taking out a loan because dad doesn't have cash, or he's taking out a loan because he doesn't want his dad to control him, and that he can then have full control of this property, full control of the deed, the assets, and the mortgage is in his name, not his dad's. But the size of the mortgage is what's shocking. So according to property records that were actually signed late in June, Josiah and Lauren signed a mortgage on June 30th, or on July 1st, June 30th, 2023, for $573,000 and $750 plus interest. And it's a 30-year loan. So it's due in 2053, and it's not something we see on Duggar properties. So Josiah and Lauren, they build a house around the corner. I think it's like 2,500 square feet. I don't know. It's not super big. It's good. I mean, it's fine for the amount of kids that they have. They could grow out of it if they keep having kids as fast as they've been having them. And they've walked into a loan, and this is not the kind of fake loans that the Duggars sometimes do, where they use one company and send it to another company, and they take out loans between his LLCs. This is a real loan company, and the mortgage is with Rocket Mortgage out of Michigan. So Josiah and Lauren, rather than living on the compound and in one of the makeshift homes of Jim Bob's, have built their own property, built their own home, and have taken out a loan. So Josiah and Lauren have their own responsibilities, and they have their own financial baggage, and now they have debt. So they are clearly not able to ascribe to this, we're not going to have debt anymore, which is a stark contrast from where the Duggars have been. I have yet to see any of the Duggars have a mortgage of this size ever. Okay? So you've got Josiah and Lauren breaking rules of big proportions, and then you've got Jim Bob and Michelle over in Missouri dumping off property that they had purchased only a few years before. So back in 2020, they got involved with this group of the Freedomists, or the Freedom Encounters, which is this guy named Darren Myers. He's part of the IBLP, and he does really creepy revisionist history. He doesn't understand anything to do with history, and he had wanted to bring this show into Branson, Missouri, that would show the true history of the United States. And it was the Freedom Encounter, and they were supposed to have a museum, and they were going to have books and all these different interactive environments to do. And Jim Bob initially was listed as the real estate investor. He purchased the theater, which is the Tony Orlando Yellow Ribbon Theater, and he plunked down $2.4 million for this theater. And the theater was his name, and he was listed as an investor in this project when it went live back in 2020. Then by 2021, Josh Duggar gets arrested, and Jim Bob's name is scrubbed from the Freedom Encounters website, okay? He's no longer listed as the silent partner. Jim Bob moves the property into this fictitious LLC called Yellow Ribbon Ministries, and then he transfers it over to Warehouse Spaces or whatever. It's one of his LLCs that he puts all his properties in Arkansas. Then Josh Duggar is sentenced, and ahead of his sentencing in March of 2022, I'm assuming large bills are due to the lender. He sells the property to the Freedom Encounters Properties LLC for a loss of $1.8 million. So he purchases the property for $2.4 million, and then he sells it like 2 years later for $1.8 million to the company Freedom Encounters Properties, and he's wiped his hands completely of this deal. So the Freedom Encounters property in Branson is still up and running, but they've obviously been unable to be successful simply hosting these creepy, productions about revisionist history. So they've actually had to go on to having more I would say mainstream content, and they're actually hosting a Narnia show where they're doing one of the books of Narnia written by C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis is a Christian author, so I could see why they might do this, but C.S. Lewis and Narnia, with all of its fantastical wizards and all of the flying and the images, would be in stark contrast to anything that the Duggars would be okay with. They would probably call this satanic. But in order for them to make money, they have to offer more mainstream productions. So they're currently having that going on, I think, in December. So Jim Bob and Michelle are completely wiped out of this production, and they sold the property at a loss to whoever is the owner of this Freedom Encounters Properties. So you've got Jim Bob Duggar unloading massive stakes in property, getting out of his Branson, Missouri plans of trying to take over Branson with the IBLP, and you've got Josiah having to take out a massive loan for a home that he just purchased and built himself. Weird, right? On top of that, you have Jill Dillard. She recently put a message out to her forever buddy James, wishing him a happy birthday. And then James reshared it onto his Instagram. Now, if you know anything about the Duggars, Michelle relied on the buddy system, and it was the buddy system that she used to raise her children. And Jill was in charge of helping to raise James Duggar. So she is trying to continue to maintain a level of relationship with her brothers. So, and then with James resharing it, it seems like some olive branches between her and her siblings continues. I don't know where the kids stand at this point, given everything that's come out about the IBLP, but it seems like some of them are taking some steps towards independence. Josiah taking a loan out of his own and not being financially tied to his dad, to me, is shocking. I would say of all of the boys, I would have thought anyone else but Josiah would be doing this. I'm still shocked that Josiah has had 2 more kids and has gone completely under the radar, but also for him to be able to afford a $573,000 mortgage, which isn't a huge mortgage in today's market, but still, that's a big mortgage. And for him to be able to afford that, he must be doing decently economically. It's at least one of the Duggar boys is not, broke, but they also don't have the money to pay for the house. So that's another sign that things are not what they once were. Before, they would have been able to buy that house, build it, and they'd have no problem. Now they need a mortgage. So Jim Bob's unloading property, Josiah is taking out a massive mortgage, and Jill is sending olive branches to James. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.